Okay, so look at these cute colors. Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't use all of them. Maybe I do, I can't remember. But this is just a bunch of colors. Choose whatever bright colors you like. These are the tools that we're going to be using today. My XL blade, my needle tool, my dotting tool. Actually, I love this one. It's by Fimo. Love that. It's so good. My depth guides, 3mm depth guides, and also a roller. I'm also going to be using you can also use stainless steel or you can use acrylic. It's your choice. We're going to be using a blade and some wipes. I'm also going to be using my Atlas Wellness 150. So, yeah, and some micro cutters. Now, the project today is kind of a fun, cute, whimsical little design. Use whatever shapes you like, but I'm going to be using ones that are kind of floral aesthetic, kind of vibing flowers, but doesn't necessarily have to be. You could do different shapes, Christmas shapes, you could do Halloween shapes, whatever you like. This is what we're doing today. Oh, look, I've got a bunch. I don't even use all of these. I'm just like, let's just grab all the cutters and put them in a pile and make it look really cute. Oh, I don't use that one, but it is a cute cutter. Oh, yes. Look at those fancy finger movements. What are we doing? Okay, so we've got a bunch of cutters. We're also going to start off with some Sculpey Souffle, which I have already pre-warmed by sitting on it. I'm not lying to you. I leave it in the packet. I sit on it for half an hour while I piss around with my video, and then it's beautiful and nice and soft to work with. We love this for us. Now, I always roll my clay down before I put it through my machine. Here's my pretty pink Atlas Wellness. I have been using this a lot more for my videos. I think that it's more relevant for you guys to be using a machine that's easily accessible. And you know what? It actually does a really great job when you are doing detailing, where you have to put quite a few different depths or different sizes of clay through the machine. So I kind of love it. I'm not going to lie, I kind of love it. It's nostalgia at its best. Take me back to 2014. Now, we've just conditioned the clay. We're going to fold it in half and then use our 3mm depth guides, which is our ideal depth. We're going to use our 3mm depth guides to roll it out nice and smooth. Yes. Look at that. She knows how to roll clay. Stop it. Oh, this bit's a bit boring, isn't it? All right, yeah, rolling it out. So what we're going to do then is trim off any folds. I just have to trim off folds. There's nothing worse than cutting out a pair of earrings and then you've got a big, ugly fold on the other side. So trim it off. Doesn't matter what shape your clay is. Doesn't have to be a perfect little rectangle. Get over it, move on. Now we're going to burnish this little puppy to the tile. Is that what we're going to do? Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to just use the pressure of our hand with some baking paper and smooth it down onto the tile. Now, look, I don't have any sandpaper at the moment. So my fish filter / veggie bin filter cleaner sponge thing is what I'm using, okay, to get the texture. You can use a texture roller. I have actually just recently ordered some and I'm kind of excited about. So anyway, use whatever texture you like. I just wanted to put a texture on the base of this design. Happens that this little texture thing had some foil in it and some dirt and dust, and that's why my clay looks like this, okay? Doesn't matter though, because we're going to be covering it up. Now, also, if you can hear my kids screaming, it's because it's the weekend and I'm at home with them, okay? So I'm sorry, it is what it is. Now, this color is Fiji from Souffle, and it's one of my favorite colors. It's so gorgeous. This one is a mixture of mandarin and white, and I'm also rolling them down to number 7 on the Atlas Wellness. That's a number 7. I don't know what thickness it is, but it's nice and thin and just right for what I need. It also has no ripples in it, and the clay comes out perfectly. I don't want it over-conditioned or too soft because otherwise it's too hard to work with, so you can just chuck it through a couple of times and then you're good to go. So roll all your clay out so you don't have to do it every time. And then all we're going to do is pick out, oh shit. Okay, this is one of those moments where you didn't record it, so you've got to go back and pretend you're cutting it out. And show you what I'm doing. So all I've done there is I've chosen a few shapes and I've just cut down. Now, before I filmed this video, I was only cutting halfway, but now in retrospect, I'm actually cutting all the way through, but keeping it within the frame of the clay. Does that make sense? I'm not moving this, so this works perfectly. Okay, so another little tip for you, clean your bloody cutters. Clean your bloody cutters, because there is nothing worse than color transfer and crap sitting in there that you have to clean. I do it all the time. And I don't clean them. I always have to clean them out when I go to use them, which is really annoying. Now we're just going to go through. I'm pretty sure I speed this up soon, but we're just going to go through and lay down heaps of really cute patterns. I also like to use my XL blade to pick my little patterns up out of the slabs. Oh, this becomes so annoying. I actually ended up getting acetone to try and get that off. Anyway, don't get me started on what happens at foil. Is just as bad as glitter. It goes everywhere and it sticks to everything. It's actually a nightmare. So anyway, a little bit of alcohol and a cotton tip and you're fine. You can also use acetone, but be very careful because it's quite strong. Yeah, so I like to use my little XL blade for getting my clay pieces off the surface of the tile when that clay is burnished, because it will come up with a cleaner edge and leave all the stuff that stuck to the tile on the tile. If you are to use a long blade to scrape it off, you will just end up with all of that stuff that's stuck on the tile there on the outside of your clay. So it's just a cleaner way to work. And here we go. We're going to go in with some blue, and we're just literally burnishing, cutting out different shapes. And this part of the process is my favorite. It's cathartic, it's fun, and I also am not laying down those patterns in a mirrored image, okay? So I am putting the same pieces on each component. I'm just placing them in different areas, and I think that it gives it a more unique look. It's not the same. And yeah, the layout is just slightly different on each piece. As you can see where I'm putting the moons, it's just slightly... That may be really hard for some people to watch. So I apologize in advance if you're not coping with the fact that I haven't mirrored the design and that I'm putting them in different places. But the way that I like to look at that is that it's kind of like if you had made a slab and then you were cutting them out and they just happen to look perfect when you cut them out. The thing is, and the reason why I've been doing this with my 3D or raised detailing lately is because it just saves so much clay. Now, if I was to lay down these beautiful patterns all over that area of clay and then cut from it, I'm ending up with a whole lot of clay that I have to use as scrap, that I have to mix up, and that it's not going to get cut into components. So this is probably one of the most efficient ways to actually create clay components. You can't so much do this when you're wanting to have patterns that lay flat and aren't 3D. It's not as easy to do that. But anytime you're doing patterns that are raised like this is the way to do it, okay? It's the way to do it. And actually, I have been enjoying it so much that that's all I've been making videos of lately. But this color here too, I haven't talked through all the colors, but this color here is Citron by Souffle mixed with wasabi from Primo. So it's a bit of a mixture. Now, I have noticed recently that a lot of the videos I do when I say it's going to be bright colors are these colors. And I think they're just colors that I naturally am like drawn to, and just colors that speak to me and that I like. So that's why I end up going with the colors that I really love. Now, I am going to start working on, I've actually just started working on a bit of a list of what I want to make for my YouTube content. This is a YouTube video, so I want to expand on my colors and try different things so that I'm not just making the same things all the time. Anyway, we're just going to continue on. I time-lapse through this so that you can just see it's just a matter of patience and time and just enjoying the process. This probably took me about an hour or so. when you time lapse it all together, and it's just really enjoyable. My favorite part is actually when we start to texture the surface. I feel like it really brings the designs to life. But if you're doing 3D designs, this is so much fun. Like I said, you could do Christmas, you could do Halloween, you can do nature inspired, you can do abstract hand cut designs. So whenever I'm doing leaf shapes, because I don't currently have like any leaf cutters, I just hand cut them out. So you don't have to, you can do hand cut shapes too. You are absolutely not restricted to doing floral designs. Okay, so just make sure that's clear. And whenever I see you guys creating this, I want to see you using bold colors, bold shapes, and just have lots of fun with it. A lot of layering as well. Like you can put little layers on top of the layers, like the insides of the flowers. You can do that 1 or 2 times. And you can see here, I'm actually just going under it so that I can lay it onto some baking paper. It is much easier to texture when you can move it around. Oh, wow, that is close. So if you don't put it onto baking paper, you could put it onto the tile that you're going to be curing on. Look how beautiful and close that is. Now, look, I'm not 100% happy with that texture of the fish filter. I call it a fish filter because it looks like what's in my fish tank. But I would have preferred a sandpaper or a linen finish on that one. So next time I'm going to try out a textured roller with you guys so that we can see what are the different types of backgrounds we can do. And I do feel like I might have to look for some little micro cutters in a Halloween theme so that I can get into spooky season on YouTube. So let's see what happens. Let's see what I can find. Wow. Wow. I should have closed all the doors and gone into my cone of silence because my kids just have no awareness about mummy doing work at home and trying to do a voiceover, just so you know. Now, my 2 tools that I love to use for this type of texture, obviously my needle tool and obviously my dotting tool. They are absolutely perfect. What I find is great about the needle tool is the fact that you are laying down some pressure, obviously adding in some extra texture, but it also presses the clay into that bottom layer. You do not need to use liquid clay to stick the clay on. Once clay is stuck to clay and it cures, it's not going anywhere. So just be really aware of the wearability of your earrings if you're adding 3D designs. First things first, you do not want those top layers to be too thick. I'm pretty sure the Atlas Wellness, when you roll to a 7, is probably like 0.5 millimeter in thickness. Basically, you don't want it too thick that it's going to make your design like sort of clunky and heavy, but you also don't want it too thin so that you can't handle them before you put them on, then making it look kind of messy and amateurish. So adding these little layers of or pops of colors. You can see here we're contrasting with different colors on top of different colors. There's no rules. There's no combinations that you should do. You can layer, I think, up to 3 times on top. So you could do another layer on top if you wanted to, but you do want to be a little bit careful that it doesn't get too heavy. After we've gone around and textured all of these, look at this. Yes, stop it. It's next level. Now, the reason why you either put it onto the tile that you're curing, a smaller tile, or onto some baking paper is so that you can move it around to texture. It really makes a big difference. It makes it really difficult if you can't move those components to texture to really get in there and get all the lines and the angles that you want to. So I hope this is giving you some inspiration on different types of textures to do on your 3D designs, different placement as well, and not feeling like you have to mirror your design. You can do something really different. And if you can see this, I noticed this actually, I kind of naturally do it and I didn't realize, but there's always usually a bigger floral design in the center or somewhere that's a bit of a focal point, and then I work around that. So it's not just lots of little designs. I try to do a good composition of a focal point and then sort of draw it out from there. So hopefully you can see that. And sometimes I don't like it to be too heavy towards the top so that there's a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of negative space around the design, which helps it pop. Having the black base, obviously with the bright colors, is really good for making it really contrasty and really interesting. And then we're just cutting our shapes out again. You can see on that puddle shape that it wasn't perfect, okay? She wasn't perfect, so I have to trim that off afterwards. But all you're going to do now is cut out your shapes and get them ready to cure. And you're really good to go. And I do need to trim that little bit off. But you can see there the skeleton that you've cut out, you can use again. There's no wasted clay. You haven't wasted any time by putting your designs onto pieces that aren't even going to be cut out, or that you have to try and desperately get lots of little tiny micro studs. So this is a really great way to save clay, do something creative and fun that you can visually see, and place the patterns exactly where you want them. It's probably one of my most favorite ways of creating at the moment, and I really wanted to share it with you. So I hope you enjoy this video as much as I have. If you love this video, please thumbs up and subscribe. Hit that notifications button so you know when I'm actually creating new videos. See you next time.